Leslie Uggams, welcome to Cultural Attaché.
Hi.
You are the recipient of the Torchlight Music Theater Icon Award in Chicago on September 14th. And I know you recently received, an award, and you said lifetime achievement. Does this mean I'm not working anymore? Did you get an answer to that? And are you okay with accepting another lifetime achievement award?
Yes, I am. The job's still coming, so I feel good.
Good. Now, a TV role at 6, the Apollo Theater at 9, and you're still working today. How has life continuously working on stage or in front of the camera fulfilled you? And could you imagine your life without having had those opportunities?
Well, the great thing about it is the fact that women get a certain age and usually they don't get any jobs. My thing has been wonderful because I'm constantly working and doing interesting projects and doing different kind of things. So I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Is there any recent project that has surprised you most that I can't believe I'm doing this?
I think Deadpool. I mean,
I had
Blind Owl.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
Blind Owl it was such a stretch, and the interesting about it is when it first came out, friends of mine didn't realize it was me, and then all of a sudden when they saw the credits, they went, "What?" So my phone was ringing off the hook by saying, "I can't believe that was you."
Well, I think it defies people's expectations of who they thought you were, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, because that's a different kind of role that they would expect Leslie Uggams to do. As far as I'm concerned, I was like, yeah, no problem.
But that also affords people to look at you in a different way for other work as well, doesn't it? I mean, that serves a good purpose.
Oh, absolutely. And what I love about it is it's opened up a whole new world with young people, and especially with the guys. The guys, they love Blind Al. And so I get a lot of fan mail from them. And then they're surprised that I do other things, and that then they're curious to see what I did before. And so it's been really wonderful.
Are you noticing or do you keep track of whether people are paying more attention to, say, clips of you from your television show or from other appearances where
Oh,
they
yeah.
they could see you singing and sort of go, "Oh, she can do that too."
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my stuff is on YouTube. And so they're all watching different things, and some things that I forgot that I did. Recently, there was something that I did on a show called Hullabaloo that I had forgotten that I had done. And people were like, "Oh my goodness, look at you," and making wonderful comments. And so I love it. I think it's great.
I believe in looking at your career, and I am old enough to have seen your television show
Yes.
when it was on the air, that you have proven F. Scott Fitzgerald completely wrong, that there are indeed second and maybe third and fourth acts in American life. What have been the biggest surprises along the way throughout your career?
Well, I think the first big surprise I would say was Roots, because up until then, as far as the public was concerned, they knew me as the singer only. And then, of course, when it came out Roots and me playing Kizzy, a lot of people said, "Oh my goodness, you can act." But people don't realize I was taking acting lessons since I was 8 years old. So I was very comfortable in that. Um, and then, of course, I would have to say Broadway, doing my first Broadway show called Hallelujah Baby, which was a wonderful premise for the show, and then winning a Tony. And then I would have to say Deadpool, because no one saw that coming, including me.
Well, it's interesting that people would be surprised that you could act when they saw Roots because you're not going to win a Tony just for singing. You have to be able to act the part too, don't you?
Yeah. But I think a lot of times when people see a musical, they don't think in terms of that. Maybe a little bit more now, because a lot of the Broadway shows are uh, more book as well as the songs. But I've surprised people all my life, and so I'm always used to it and prepared for it.
Well after Roots, you tackled, the Mount Everest of women's roles in musicals in probably arguably the greatest musical ever written in Gypsy, which you have
Yes.
to be a good singer and a superb actor in that. You did Gypsy at Connecticut Repertory Theater 10 years before Audra McDonald took on the role on Broadway.
Yes.
What was most significant for you about being in that show then, and what is most important for you now about Audra having been able to do it on Broadway?
Well, I have to first tell you that Arthur Lawrence wanted me to do the role when Bernadette Peters was doing it. And they were going to do a tour of the show. And he said, I want you, when Bernadette Peters is finished, I would like you to take it over. And I said, wow, that'll be great. Of course, they never did a tour of it, so that didn't happen. So when I got the opportunity to do it at the University of Connecticut, I jumped at the chance because it's one of the greatest roles for a female that was ever written, and it was such a joy to do that. Um, and unfortunately, they never thought about bringing it to Broadway with a black actress until 10 years later with Audra. And she's just brilliant in the role, just brilliant in the role. But it's a hard role. It's because you're hardly off the stage and a lot of emotions through that show. So doing 8 shows a week, it's a workout. It's a workout.
Now, it's interesting to hear you say that because you have often said 8 shows a week is nothing. I did 29 shows a week at the Apollo, but I
Yes,
assume Gypsy is a beast of its own.
it's a beast of its own. Absolutely. You have no life. I'm sure Audra, she's resting when she gets home, and those days off she cherishes them because it's especially that last number is the greatest number ever, and you've got to act it and sing it, and it's so many things that you have to go through with it, and she does it brilliantly.
Yeah, she does. It's she's I think she's the fourth or fifth Mama Rose that I've seen.
I've seen them all too. I saw with Ethel Merman.
Yes. Well, that's the beauty of being, maybe 1 or 2 years older than I am, and probably having greater access to the East Coast at that time than I did.
Yes,
Because I'm
yes.
I'm born and raised in LA, so
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
did see Ethel Merman once. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she was quite something. When she hit that stage, and you were like, okay, fasten your seatbelts because she's going to give you a great performance.
Absolutely. Another great performer is Shirley MacLaine, and Shirley
Oh
once
yes,
and Shirley once told me, "I'm so old, but I'm current. If the audience is with you, there's nothing like being on stage." I assume you agree with her, and do you still feel that way?
absolutely. And I always feel that if you are on that stage and you can see people or feel people in their seats start to lean forward because you're getting to them and captivating them, um, that's pretty darn good. And that's what I've, knock on wood, been able to do whenever I do a theater piece. That's what happens.
Um, is your autobiographical show the one that means the most to you, or are there other roles that are right up there with that?
Well, it was fun doing Uptown Downtown because a lot of people don't know that I started off as a young kid and made my mark at the Apollo Theater. I credit everything to the Apollo Theater. It was the greatest school you could go to in learning your craft. And so I loved doing that and honoring the people that I got to work with when I did play the Apollo, like Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald, Dinah Washington, all those wonderful people. And so that was so much fun putting that together. And then talking about how I worked my way downtown and to the theater.
What kind of education did you get by watching people like Louis Armstrong and Dinah Washington and Ella Fitzgerald?
How they captivated an audience because I never missed any performance when I worked with them. And it was just interesting. And they were so different, but how they walked on that stage, number one, it was like a hush because of who they were, but also how they interacted with the audience and how the audience was so with them and with their different kind of styles. And that always interested me because I was like, okay, You're not just standing on that stage, you're creating an atmosphere that makes the people want to hear more and more and more.
Apropos of your time at the Apollo Theater, you said the audience at the Apollo took no prisoners. I think this was a magazine interview. Um, in how people achieve fame is so different now. You've got people who become celebrities. I'm not saying they're actors, but they become celebrities at least by virtue of how many followers they have on social media,
True.
or whether they're an influencer and things like that, or if they win a competition show on television. What are your concerns or thoughts about how future generations of performers, actors, singers will be able to navigate their way through show business if it's all just about popularity and not about craft?
Well, you can tell the people who have worked hard for their craft. They're the ones that you still hear people talking about because when they go to see them, it's like, oh my gosh, they're incredible. Uh, a lot of now, what happens is that you can be on TikTok or these kind of shows, and uh, they're not doing the work because when you do the work, you have to be prepared because you never know what's going to be thrown at you. And everybody has their moment. And if you're not ready in that moment, and even if you do get your moment the other way, eventually you get found out because this is a tough industry, really tough industry. And there's certain things that when you study the craft, that you learn how to do as far as uh, your voice, your dancing, how to make sure that you are well prepared, and how you're able to do it if you're doing theater 8 shows a week, or if you're in front of the camera doing a film or something like that, how to navigate. Because it's hard when you don't know. It's hard when you don't know. And if it doesn't work out, um, even though you may have tons of followers and everything, you can tell who's done the work and who hasn't done the work.
And you also, if you're going to have any kind of career in the stage, you have to figure out how to survive moments like going up on lines because
Oh
it
yes.
happens to it happens to everybody.
Oh my God. Oh yes. I've had moments of those. But absolutely how to keep in character when you're going, oh my gosh, what did I say again? Oh yes. Oh, and how to, yeah, without standing there going, looking like you don't know what you're doing. You can't let the audience know that.
Absolutely. I've spoken to a number of actors who have spent equal amounts of time on film and television sets and on theater. They all say they love theater more, but they also say it's a hell of a lot more work. Um,
Yes,
do you share that
because
experience?
well, you're doing it when you're doing a show in the theater. It starts at the beginning and you go to the end. When you're doing film, a lot of times you could be shooting the ending before you even start doing the beginning, and there's always somebody there to go cut, and you get to do it again. When you're doing the theater, baby, you hit the ground running, and you better know what you're doing, and you better be good, because all those people walk out of the theater going like, "Oh, geez, that was okay," or they go, "Wow, this is an incredible experience."
One of the things that I love before I get to do a conversation with someone like you is to go back and look at videos and old interviews, old concert or singing performances and things like that. But the thing that most surprised me when I was looking up some of your stuff, you have a current demo reel. It's like Leslie Uggams has a demo reel in 2025. And, and I was so surprised by that with such an illustrious career. Why do you feel you need to have a demo reel? I mean, if somebody says to me, hey, Leslie Uggams would be great for this, I would just say, all right, if you can make the deal, do it.
Well, let me put it this way: there's a lot of young ones running the business too. And believe you me, if you think that they may know who you are, they don't necessarily know who you are. They don't check the background. I remember once I went for something, and a young guy was sitting behind the desk, and he was kind of like, "So, what have you been doing?" And I was like, okay, this is not going to work out because I've done my homework, but obviously you haven't done your homework. And that's the way the business is now, you have to keeping up with the times and moving forward. So you can't be lost in saying, well, you don't know who I am. No, there's people that don't know who you are. So if you want them to know, you got to do what you got to do.
Which is part of what I think you were telling Terry Gross earlier this year. You always think about what's my next gig.
Yes. Yes,
So
I
do you,
like to be challenged.
so besides accepting awards, what is your next gig?
Well, last year I did a show. I don't know if it's going to be on again. That was called Fallout. That was so much fun to do. I hope it gets picked up and we get to do it again. But it's been a lot of fun. It's very interesting. And so I love these projects that are interesting. And so we'll see. But listen, my career has never been planned. My mother used to say, you look around one corner and it comes around the other. And that's my career. I've never said, okay, this is the next thing that I want to do. It's never been that way. All of a sudden, out of the blue, I'll get a call about something and I go, oh, okay, let's talk about this or, whatever I need to do, audition, whatever. And, I love the way my career is going.
Um, and is Gilded Age a one-off, or is there a chance that your character will see more episodes in the next season?
Oh, I hope she comes back because she causes trouble. I love causing trouble.
Is that more fun to play than being the character that doesn't cause trouble?
Well, no, most of all, listen, I have to give those actors and actresses their kudos because those clothes, I don't know. I mean, I had about 7 different outfits under the dress. It's a lot of clothes. And to be able to act and sit and do all the things that they're doing, people don't realize. It's genius what they're doing. Genius what they're doing. And it's what a great era. I love that whole thing, what was going on. And I love the way the storyline went this year when you see African American people who have contributed and doing well, and they're doctors and lawyers and owners of businesses. It was a great storyline. So I would love to come back. I would love to come back.
Well, we'll just make sure Julian Fellows sees this interview in case he has any doubts. Um, in 2015, you did an interview with Pop Matters, and you were asked about Lena Horne,
Yes.
who I know you've also, portrayed, on stage. And you said there weren't a lot of people that you could identify with on screen. Lena was extraordinarily beautiful and talented. Whenever she was in a movie, we would all run to see it. She was one of our own. How far do you think the entertainment industry has come to make it possible for more people to see themselves on screen? And how much further would you like it to
Oh,
go?
leaps and bounds. I mean, there's so many talented uh, African Americans who we get to see now, and there's a wealth of just talented people that are now getting an opportunity that when first of all, when Lena was being cut out of films for the South, even when I was on Singing with Mitch, the South didn't take the program in the beginning because I was on it. But eventually, we became such a hit that all changed. You didn't see a lot of African Americans in commercials, things like that, and so there's great opportunities and writings that are being done by great Black authors, and uh, it can always listen. It can always do better, but it's doing great, I think.
What do you think your role is in that, being the first, Black woman to host a network series, variety series the way you did?
Well, we all stand on uh, people's shoulders. I stood on uh, Lena's, the Diane Carrolls, and wonderful people like that, and the Ruby Dees and the Cicely Tysons, and so hopefully somebody is doing theater or whatever, and they think about me and realize that I opened the door. I'm more than open to do it. I went straight through it. I always felt like, hello world, here I am. You need to be using my, my talent. So, I hope that's the way people are thinking about it.
Well, at this point in your life, I know that you've posted about the importance of family folklore and preserving and honoring the past. Outside of your beauty book, which I saw was available on Amazon, you know, is have you given any thought to writing a memoir or an autobiography?
uh, we're thinking about it right now, as a matter of fact, because so many people that I know, when we sit down, we start talking, and some of my stories, they go, "You got to write a book. You got to write a book." Because looking back, I mean, I worked with everybody but Adam and Eve. I mean, I look and go, every time I turn something, I go, "Oh yes, that's right. I did that with Cary Grant, or I did that with Charlton Heston." Oh, all those different things. So I think it's time.
Well, hopefully, you have enough work that you have to squeeze in the writing, or at least do it on set while you're waiting between takes.
Yes, yes.
Um, I recently saw a clip of you singing, and I thought your voice has only gotten better. It's so gorgeous. And, the people in New York are lucky because you can go to 54 Below as you have,
Yes.
and do a show there. Have you given any thought to traveling elsewhere and doing that, your cabaret show?
Well, I was asked, it's a crazy world we live in because, you have your key musicians and everything, but when I've been so busy acting that a lot of them have retired or they live in other places. So for me to get together with my group, it takes a little navigating, but I'm not going to give up singing. I want to do it again. Right now, I've been doing 54 Below, which I love, and but I want to do some new things. We've done uh, my show a few times, so I think it's time for me to make a few changes, and so that takes time of planning around what I'm doing, so that we can get together and start rehearsing.
You see someone like Marilyn May perform, you
Oh,
know,
she's
and
my Shiro.
I mean, my God, it's like, she's gone many more times around the sun than you have. Does someone like that inspire you to think that you can
Oh
keep
my
doing?
God, yes, absolutely. First of all, it's not like you seeing somebody up in age and you go, "Oh, they sound good." She sounds great. It's like time has stood still as far as she's concerned. She is doing it. So absolutely. I mean, she's an encouragement because I mean, you want to go to see a show. You don't. The audience doesn't want to be sitting there going, "Oh my God, I hope can she hit that note or can she do that?" I mean, Marilyn, she's the best.
How would you describe how you hear your voice today versus maybe how you heard it 30 or 40 years ago?
Well, when I hear it 30 years ago, I think, gee, you're such a kid. I think with age, it's like wine. It gets better the longer it sits. That's how I feel about my voice. And I've always taken care of it. I wasn't a smoker, and so therefore I'm able to still hit the notes. I found it so amusing because I'll have fans come up to me and they go, "Oh my goodness, you sing that song in the same key." And I think, wow, I mean, they're so into the music and the key that you're singing in that it amazes me.
Does it amaze you that you sing in the same key?
Uh, I guess it does in a way, I surprise myself a lot of time, but it's the feeling that I get when I'm singing, and I venture out doing things with my voice that sometimes I'm even amazed that I'm doing.
The clip that I saw of you singing recently was of you singing "Being Good Isn't Good Enough" from Hallelujah Baby,
Oh
which
yeah.
I think is such a beautiful song.
Oh,
But it strikes me as a way of describing how you approach your life and your work. And I'm wondering if you feel that that song reflects the life you've lived, both, in the public eye and outside of the public eye.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's why I love that song so much because you have to be the best, and you know, no, you have to be the best. And so that's what I've always tried to be when I hit the stage or whatever I'm doing. It's like, um, I'm not laying back being cool. You have to be the best, because at that time when first sang that song, it was about, if you weren't extraordinary as a black woman artist, you didn't get the breaks. So therefore, you had to climb Mount Everest to make sure that people heard it, and then it was like, oh, okay, they want to see you.
Yeah, you had to work twice as hard to get half as far.
Right.
Um, One last question for you, Leslie. You know, I know that as a 6-year-old, you saw Leontyne Price in Porgy and Bess. What would that 6-year-old say to you today about the career that you've had, the woman you've become, and the life you've led?
Shocked. Because I didn't think of I want to be in show business, even though I was in show business since I was 6 years old. I thought I liked to sing. I was a ham. I like to sing and I like to dance and everything. And I was getting these gigs, but I didn't say, someday I'm going to be up there doing that. I didn't think that way. I just loved to do what I was doing. And then it led to other things. So to that little girl, I would be saying, you've come a long way, baby.
And no regrets?
No regrets. Because I believe failure also helps too. There's a lot of gigs that I did that I was like, oh, help me, let me get out of this. Or there's a lot of times where you play in a place and not a lot of people showed up, but all that helps build what you're trying to do. And so I don't look at things as a failure. I look at it as a learning lesson.
Well, I suppose that's why you're an icon receiving this award from the Porchlight Music Theater in Chicago.
Well, I first of all, I love theater. I love all the regional theaters and places that I've gone, because that also helps what I do. And you get to see people that not necessarily come to New York to see you. And they nurture the future actors and actresses uh, in their theater. And I think it's great. It's an honor. And I love Chicago.